intended to do a light, more natural makeup look. Proceeded to use an eyeshadow that is shiny enough to be seen from outer space. Folks, this is the story of my life. Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. We are going to be going through my cosmetic trash from 2018. And we are going to be getting I am going to be getting way more philosophical about that than one should probably get with empty, used up, or in some cases not used up makeup products. And here's part of the reason I'm going to wax philosophical about it. All of it fits very nicely and easily within this small little makeup bag. This is not a very big makeup bag. And I actually am going to have a few fragrance items and a hand cream, a small hand cream to put in here as well. All of it fits in here. That's how much, or should I say how little, I used up in cosmetics in 2018. And a lot of those items were in use well before 2018 started. So that is part of what kind of led me to starting the YouTube channel, was to really encourage me to think more carefully about what I'm buying and kind of counteract some of the craziness that I went through over the last few years. And we'll get a little bit into that, and why I was buying so much, and why I still have more than I probably should, and why I have a couple of boxes of stuff that I've put aside that I'm going to be sending off to a charitable organization that takes gently used makeup items. And I will go over that in a future video, because I'm going to take you through what I'm sending and why I'm sending it and why I shouldn't be buying more stuff. And I'll talk a little bit about why I shouldn't be buying more stuff at this point in my life and my makeup journey. So without further ado, I've got everything divided up into categories, and I'm going to start with the products that I actually did use up. And I have them divided up into sort of broadly like face category, and then eyes and lips. 3 lip products, one of which is a lip balm. We'll get into that. Okay, let's start with the foundation products. And the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better CC Plus Cream. I do like this. I still am using this. I have a new tube of this that I sort of go back and forth. I use either the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation, or I use this. Just depends on what I feel like for the day. This was definitely a little more emollient, so I tend to not use it in the summer when it's really hot and humid, which is pretty much almost every day where I live, because I live in the South. I do like it. I also used up the Paula's Choice Barely There Sheer Matte Tint. They no longer sell this. They no longer sell any kind of foundation type products that Paula's Choice, which is probably a good thing, because the shade range on this was terrible. The IT Cosmetics one is not much better, and therein lies one of my beefs with the cosmetic industry, and I'm certainly not the only one. A lot of people have been talking about this, about how people, especially on the deeper end of the spectrum, aren't represented nearly enough with foundation colors and undertones as well. I know a lot of women with more unusual undertones, like olive undertones, complain that it's hard to find a foundation product that has their correct skin color and undertone. And I can tell you that as a person on the paler end of the spectrum, I have also had issues. I wouldn't say my issue is as desperate as those on the deep end. I can usually make something work, but I can see where somebody, especially on that deeper end, that darker end of the spectrum, is going to have a much harder time. You know, it's harder to make something work. Okay, rant over. So those were that's all I used up, and I'm pretty sure at least one of those was in use before we started 2018. So gives you an idea to how much or how little I actually use. And then I have this little sample. I think it's the Tatcha primer. It was fine. It came as, I think it was with a Sephora order. It was fine. As far as a powder, I used up the Ulta Double Duty Wet and Dry Press Powder. They don't sell this anymore, and I have found that as I've gotten older, I cannot use powders the way I used to. I used to, years ago, use the Pure Minerals Pressed Powder Foundation. I really liked it. I can't use it anymore because powder on my face, especially around the wrinkled areas, I don't have fine lines, I have wrinkles, okay? They're beyond fine lines. And powders love to jump right into those lines, and it's like there's jazz hands and chasing neon around my wrinkles after I put powder on, and it settles into those lines. I mean, it's pointing it out like nobody's business. So I just can't use them. I think I typically use this like in the center of my face, especially to help knock down some of the redness that I deal with. And speaking of redness, I used the Urban Decay Naked Skin color correcting fluid for the redness as well, and I actually did use this up as well, and it's good. It's my favorite of the green correctors. If you have redness in your face anywhere, either from rosacea or from skin irritation or from acne, things like that, a green color corrector can help. You just have to be careful, because if you use too much, you end up looking gray, and that can look weird. So, but my absolute favorite is the Cover FX, their little click stick in the green. That's my favorite as far as the color and the texture. I'm currently using the LA Girl little squeezy tube of their color corrector in green, and it's fine. I have it on today, so if that tells you anything, if you look at it and you think I look weird, then maybe that says not good things about it. But if it looks fine, it seems to be doing fine. But my absolute favorite is the Cover FX, and yes, Urban Decay still sells this product, so you can still go out there and buy that. Okay, and then as far as the last sort of face skin product is the Rimmel London Natural Bronzer. I did not use this up because I finally realized I don't really need to use bronzer. I do use it sometimes, but what I've noticed, this is really strange, and let me know if anybody else has noticed this. There are a lot of women on YouTube. Now granted, a lot of the people that I watch on YouTube are makeup enthusiasts. They are not makeup experts. They're not trained makeup artists. That may mean nothing. I mean, you know, people can be enthusiastic about makeup and have good skills, but I've noticed that there are a lot of people on YouTube using bronzer as a contour. Bronzer is really not meant to be used as contour, because contour is meant to mimic a shadow. Shadows are gray to black, depending on your skin tone and the lighting and everything. And a lot of the bronzers are either brown or they have orange or reddish undertones. And it doesn't look right. That's just me. That's just me being picky, maybe. But anyways, this is fine. It started to get that sort of crust on the top. I don't think it's called a crust, but that's what it's like. It gets that hard pan, is that what it's called? And it's a little bit dark, which is funny because it's called Sunlight. Well, no, it is called Sunlight. It's not called Light. I was thinking it was called Light. Anywho's, I also do not buy from Rimmel anymore because they are not cruelty-free. So I'm not going to purchase this. I'm currently, for a bronzer, using the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, which is really nice. I like the color, and it smells really good, so I like it. I just find it curious that bronzer has become a thing, because I don't remember bronzer being a thing back when I was just starting to use makeup in the 80s and then into the 90s and early 2000s. So I don't know if it's a YouTube thing or if it's always been around and I just didn't notice it. It's entirely possible I didn't notice it because I was not always the most up on makeup trends back in the day. So anyways, moving on to eye products. I used up one eyeshadow. Now granted, it was a big eyeshadow. It's the Japanesque. I don't know that Ulta still sells this line. I know they sell some of their tools. They're known for tools like the eyelash curlers and things like that. But they do have makeup, and for a while at least, Ulta was carrying it. But I mostly used up, as you can see. It's a taupe eyeshadow, and it is all used up except for the ring around the pan, as our powder products like to do. And again, this was a product that I was using long before 2018 started, so it was already in use, and it took me most of the year to use this up. This is why it's thoroughly ridiculous that I have so many eyeshadows. This is also why I've given away a lot, and I'll be giving away even more, because I don't need that many eyeshadows. I don't use a lot of eyeshadow. I am not a makeup genius. Especially in the job I'm in right now, I don't do crazy eye makeup looks, so I don't need a lot of eyeshadow, especially when I only use up this much in a whole year. That's ridiculous. This is partly why I started to get really disgusted with myself as far as my makeup purchasing, because I started looking at what I was actually using up. That's why I did this. That's why I kept all of this all throughout the year, because I wanted to really get a sense of what I actually use, and it's not much. So that's why I am doing a cosmetic no buy right now. It's why I'm not buying any cosmetics. I'm not even replacing anything that I've used up because I have enough. Like, I have enough mascaras to take me through the year, even with changing them out regularly the way you're supposed to with mascaras. And they, of course, they dry up and everything. But I mean, I have no need to buy anything. I don't need to buy eyeshadow palettes. I don't need to buy anything right now. And this was part of what showed me why I didn't need to buy any more products, at least for a while. At least until all of my eyeshadows rot, which apparently can happen. Apparently they can go bad, so go figure. I have so many, they'll probably go bad before I can even use them. But anyways, okay, the next item is an eyeliner, and it's one eyeliner, although I did actually use a good bit of it. It's the Urban Decay Perversion eyeliner. It's fine. By the time I got down to this point, it was getting really dry, so it really wasn't useful anymore. It's a fine eyeliner. Is it worth the money that Urban Decay charges for it? Probably not. There are plenty of drugstore options that will work just as well. So it was fine. It was good. And then continuing on with eye products, I did use up several, how many? Oh yes. I did use up several mascaras, and some of them I think I did actually use up and some of them dried. And this is the problem with having a back stock of mascara. Mascara dries out. Who knew? I should have known. I've used mascara for years. But anyways, I have the Physicians Formula Organic Wear. It's okay. I don't think I would buy it again. It wasn't that impressive, and I think it actually dried out before I was able to really use it. This is one of the e.l.f. ones. It's the 3-in-1 mascara. Okay, but I think it dried out before I even finished it all. So again, it's not a great judge. I can't be a great judge of it, but take of that what you will. The Pacifica Aquarian Gaze Water Resistant Long Lash Mineral Mascara. I did not like this very much. It gave me spider lashes, so I don't have really thick lashes, and they don't curl really easily. And when I put regular mascara on them, they tend to like lose all the curl. So it doesn't matter how much I've curled them, they will just totally lose their curl. So I like to use either a waterproof or water resistant mascara on my lashes on a pretty regular basis, because that helps hold the curl. And that's a little tip I learned on YouTube. So see, YouTube makeup stuff is not always worthless. There are actually some really good information out there. This one is not great. It did not work for what I needed it to work for, which is to keep my lashes curled. Did nothing. So will not be buying that one again. However, the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara is a really good waterproof, either waterproof or it's waterproof. I don't like the regular Better Than Sex mascara. It's too clumpy, but I do really like the waterproof version, and it is pretty cool packaging as well. It's like it has little raindrops and stuff on it. Not that that means anything. So anyways, I do like this. Again, it's an expensive mascara, so is it worth it? Essence has several waterproof mascaras that are just fine, so honestly those would be just as good as Better Than Sex. But I like, that's a full size. I actually like the travel size of the Better Than Sex better. I don't know why. It's not, like, that one is more clumpy than the travel size. It's the same product, but maybe it's just because there's less. I have no idea. And finally, the IT Superhero Mascara, which I actually liked more after I finished using it and I started listening to other people talking about it, and I realized I kind of liked it. At first I didn't like it because it seemed very clumpy, but I actually kind of like that because, as I've mentioned, my lashes are very problematic. I don't have very thick lashes, I don't have very long lashes, they don't tend to hold the curl very well, and I find that I have to be very picky about my mascaras, and this one actually I like better than I thought after I first used it. Does that make any sense? You know, you can change your viewpoint on something after you have used it for a while. You realize, no, I actually kind of like it. The thing that I didn't think I liked, I actually kind of like. Psychology. So yeah, I like this. I actually have a little deluxe sample that I think I got maybe as a birthday gift from Ulta that I am going to be using probably later this year. So that's all the mascaras. Now, as I mentioned, some of those didn't get used up. They just dried up. So they didn't actually serve their purpose for me because I have so many. So therein lies one of the issues with having lots of extra makeup products, is some of them are going to probably go bad before you use them, and that's kind of silly. So that does it for mascara. Okay, now on to some of my lip products. A grand total of 3. One of them is a lip balm that I know I was using way before 2018. In fact, I think I probably was using all of these before 2018 started. So another good lesson in why you shouldn't have a lot of certain products. This is the Blistex Deep Renewal. It's an SPF 15, and that's why I had it, was to use it for the sun protection factor. It's fine. I don't think Blistex is cruelty-free though, so that is something that I need to think about. I think I'm using a product up right now that have had for a while, and it is also an SPF product. But again, I think it might not be from a cruelty-free company. Whatever. Then the Wet n Wild Mega Slicks Balm Stain. So it's one of those balm stains that pretty much almost everybody has now, and it was nice. The problem with these though is that as you use them up, they flatten out, and then it becomes almost impossible to use them up. But as you can see, I did actually use, I hope you can see that because I can't see what I'm showing you. I did actually use it, so that was nice. And then this is oh wow, this is a blast from the past. And this is one of the Revlon lip butters, which they don't even sell anymore. But I used almost all of it up. Again, as you can hopefully see. I shouldn't be proud of myself for that. My goodness, you should buy products to use them, not to use them a few times and then put them in a drawer and forget about them. So this was nice. It's like a balm stain type of product, so it works just fine. It's a good thing, but they don't even sell it anymore. And also Revlon is not cruelty free, so I don't buy from Revlon anymore, so I wouldn't be buying it again anyways, but it was fine. And finally, for things that I actually used, I have 2 makeup sponges that are filthy dirty. I know this is a Real Techniques, and I'm pretty sure this is also a Real Techniques, but as you can see, they're really dirty, so they needed to go away. I like makeup sponges, and I think this is another thing where my age is coming into play. I find that when I try to use a makeup brush to put on foundation, which is what I used to do, I used to always use a brush, that it leaves streaks, especially on my nose. I don't know if that's from age or if it's from the rosacea, the mild case of rosacea that I have, but I find that I like a makeup sponge because it mushes it into my face. I'm sure every makeup artist out there who has training and experience with makeup talks about mushing makeup into people's faces. I'm sure that's a very technical term, but that's what I call it. Probably not a good thing to mush it into your face, but there you go. But I do like sponges. I'm currently using a beauty blender. It's another thing that there's a little bit of controversy about Beauty Blender and the company. I think they had maybe it was the foundation that, like so many other companies, didn't have enough of a shade range, or maybe they clapped back at somebody on social media. I can't keep up with all of it. But anyways, I am using a beauty blender right now, and it's fine. But I find that the Real Techniques sponge is just as good. And I actually just recently bought a 2-pack of the Real Techniques sponges so that I could use those after I'm done with the beauty blender and it's served its purpose. So that is it for the makeup products that I actually used up. And now we're going to talk about a few things that I'm getting rid of because they just don't serve a purpose anymore, or they're not working for me, and they're just not worth keeping in my collection. First up is the Wet n Wild Coverall Correcting Palette. This is one of those correcting palettes. It has the green, and then it has a few others. They serve different purposes. I think you can use a lavender or purple to cover dark circles, maybe, or is it something else? I don't know. But anyways, it's an okay product. It was just way too thick. This, as you can see, it's in a pan as opposed to in a more liquid type form, and this just didn't work for me. So and I think it's probably going to dry out pretty quickly because of the packaging that it's in, so it just wasn't worth it. It just wasn't worth keeping in my collection anymore, and just wasn't serving a purpose. All right, there are three lip products that I'm getting rid of because I tried them in December of 2018. I decided to do a little project, and I went through all of my lip products, and I used a different one every day because I wanted to see which ones were still working for me and which ones weren't, because I have had some of these for several years, and I've noticed that as I've been getting older that some lip products don't work for me anymore. Specifically, one of the ones that really didn't work for me anymore was this LA Girl glazed lip paint. It is a squeeze tube of a product that goes into lines like nobody's business. And it bleeds outside, and I have the fine lines around my lips, like so many other women as we get a little older. Well, anybody who wears lip products, male, female, or wherever you are on the gender spectrum, it bleeds. It bleeds like nobody's business. So it just wasn't worth keeping it with me. I didn't even use it all day, the whole day. I had some other choices with me, and I took it off and used something else because it was that not good for me. And also, I'm getting rid of the J-Cat hydrating lip stain. I would argue with the hydrating. Bought this at Ulta. It's one of these that, again, is a lip stain, and those can get really drying on my lips, which is true of a lot of people. I don't think that has anything to do with age. I think that's just the nature of the product, and I really didn't like it, and I decided life is too short, and I owned too many other lip products that were just fine to use something that didn't feel good, and so I decided to get rid of that. And finally, this little errant guy. This is a Rimmel Stay Glossy. Same issue with the LA Girl lip paint. It was too liquidy, and it spread into the lines around my mouth, and so it simply wasn't worth it. And like I said, life is too short to use bad lip products. So all three of those went away because I was using all of my lip products and was discovering that several of them were just not working for me. Either the color wasn't working or the formula or whatever. So I decided there's no point in keeping them, and so I just needed to get rid of them. And of course, because they're lip products, I'm not going to give them away to anybody. They're just going to go in the trash, so they're going to create more trash. So that's another thing that I've barely been thinking about with all of these products, is the trash that it creates. It's just kind of nuts how much trash all of these products create. Looking at how much I'm throwing away, I have 2 bags going. I have one bag for the first part of the year for all my empties, and then another bag where I've been collecting the ones from the second half of the year, and the one from the first half of the year is full. Now, granted, some of that is recyclable, but not all of it, and so it's just one of those things that I'm trying to think more about the waste stream and about how I'm contributing to filling up landfills with all this stuff, because a lot of these packages aren't recyclable. They don't have recycling codes, and where I live, you have to have a recycling code on plastic in order to put it in the recycling. So, and a lot of these products don't. I know MAC has Back to MAC, but I don't buy MAC products because they're not cruelty free, because they sell in China. So whatever. Okay, there's 2 more products that I did not use up. They just weren't working. One of them is this Catrice Smoky Matte Powder Liner. It was fine at first. This is kind of interesting. It has this little wand. It's almost like a foam wand, and there's a powder in there. And it was okay, but it's not dark. It's not a dark black. It's like a gray, and that's not really what I wanted. I wanted black, and it started out okay, but it kind of petered out as we got to the end of it, so it's going away. And finally, this e.l.f. Shimmering Facial Whip, which is fine, but I don't need it. And it's an okay product. It's actually a pretty good product for what it is, especially for it being e.l.f. And I think this was one of their $1 products, at least at one time. So, okay, but I don't need it. I have too many other highlighter type products to mess around with this anymore. And finally, on to perfumes. And the first one is from Victoria's Secret. It's Pink Sunkissed, one of their body mists. It's just fine. I think this actually might be recyclable. I need to check. If it is, I need to recycle it. It was okay. I think it may have had a coconut, maybe vanilla and coconut. I like both of those, especially for the summer, so I used it. It was fine. And then some little sample ones. I'm going to save that for the end. Okay, the first one, Prada Candy Kiss. I really like the Prada Candy fragrance. I currently use that as one of my preferred fragrances, if you want to even call it that, whatever. I have a little bit of a fragrance collection. It's not as bad as my makeup, but I do have to be careful with it because I can go overboard on those too. But I really do like the Prada Candy. This is the Prada Candy Kiss, which I think might be a little more floral maybe, or maybe even a little sweeter. It's fine, but I prefer the Prada Candy. So, and that was a little sample one, so that got used up pretty easily. And then we have Juliet Has a Gun Moscow Mule, which I really liked because it's unusual, and I don't remember the fragrance notes, but I will try to look them up and then either put them on the screen or put them down in the description box if you're interested, because it's an unusual fragrance, and I like some of the unusual fragrances. And speaking of unusual fragrances, this final one, which is by Rag & Bone, which is a clothing company primarily, but they are now putting out fragrances. I made an order from Sephora sometime last year, and one of my sample choices was I could choose this particular fragrance from Rag & Bone called Oddity. O-D-D-I-T-Y, like odd, like weird. And this one, the name fits what it is, because the primary note on this one is black pepper. And when I say black pepper, I am talking like you unscrewed the top of your pepper shaker and took a big old whiff. That is what this smells like, and I can't figure out if I like this because I actually really like it, or if I like it because I appreciate the fact that it is a really odd fragrance and it is like nothing else I have smelled. I've smelled fragrances that have a pepper note in them, but nothing like this. This is like straight up pepper, at least when it goes on me, and that might be my body chemistry working with it, but I like it, but I don't know if I actually really like it. I think maybe I just appreciate, it might be that I just appreciate the fact that it is a really offbeat fragrance, and I like that aspect of it. So it may not even be that I actually really like it. Unfortunately, it's really expensive, and it doesn't come in something like a roller ball or a smaller fragrance, or smaller like bottle size. So I'm not planning on buying the full size, maybe, but I kind of want to. Like I said, it's just, or maybe I need to go to Sephora and get a sample, because I think they will do samples of fragrances. So I need to see if they would have a little sample of this, because I really, like I said, I don't know if I like it because I actually really like it, or if I just like and appreciate the fact that it is not like any other fragrance I've ever smelled or ever used. Take of that what you will, but I do like odd fragrances. I like one of the Terry Mugler ones, the Angel Muse, which is one of those that when I first smelled it, I thought, I'm not real sure about this, but when I started wearing it, I got a little sample and I started wearing it, and I thought, I actually kind of like that. And it's not one that I would typically would have thought I would like. But anyways, I can use Victoria's Secret, like they're totally basic fragrances, and then I can use stuff like that. Go figure. And finally, one last thing is an Aveda hand cream, hand relief. It's fine. It's a hand cream. It was a little, I don't know if I bought this or got it as part of a set or something, but I do get my hair cut at an Aveda salon, so that may have been where it came from. I can't quite remember, but all right. So that is it for my empties, and as you can see, they all fit pretty nicely in here. I don't know if you can actually close it up, but I mean, that's it. This is all that I used, and so this is why I'm not buying anything cosmetic like this year, because, and I don't know when I'll start buying it. I will probably buy some mascara, because eventually I'll use up the mascaras that I have, so I'll buy those. But I don't know when I'm gonna buy other makeup products again. I have a lot of blush. I have plenty of eyeshadow. Highlighters we're not even gonna talk about. I may do a collection tour if you guys are interested in seeing what I currently have and what I'm currently working with, and pretty much all that I'll be working with for the foreseeable future. So this is why, because I don't need more stuff. I don't need to be creating more waste. I don't need to be adding to the waste stream and doing all of that. So yeah, I don't need to be buying anymore. I don't need to be spending the money. If you watched my budget videos, I've made a couple of budget videos that have already been posted, and I'll link to those. But you'll notice if you've watched those that for me, savings has become much more of a priority for a lot of reasons, not least of which is that I am going to be getting out of the corporate world, that steady paycheck, getting paid every 2 weeks world. And so I need to have money set aside because I don't know what I'm going to be earning when I first leave, because that's coming up. That is not, a few years in the future. This is something that's going to be happening in the next however many months. So I need to be more careful with my money. Buying makeup is not careful. So I need to be more conscious about what I'm spending, not only because of the waste and because of just, I don't need the stuff, I don't need all the products. It's also that it's a money thing, and I need to be more careful about it. I need to be more intelligent about what I'm spending my money on, being more conscious about it. So one of the things that I find myself going back to in my videos a lot of times is being more conscious of what I'm doing, whether it's the mindset stuff. I mentioned Natalie Bacon in a previous video. I have done a lot of mindset work with her personal development course, and a lot of it is, sort of digging into why you do what you do and how your brain functions and how you can get caught in these thought cycles that are not helpful, that are not serving you, that can stand in your way. And so buying a lot of stuff because I felt lost or because I felt cut off from something that had been very important to me, the stuff wasn't going to help, but I thought it was filling a hole, but it didn't. And it wasn't ever going to. And I needed to learn that. And that's what I've done over the last year and a half or so, is learning a lot about that, and how doing this little exercise with looking at what I bought, how that has changed my perspective. So I know this was a lot. This is a really philosophical video for trash. So I hope it was helpful. I hope it was at least somewhat interesting. The products are not the problem. It's our attitude towards them. Things are just things. They don't have any meaning until we assign meaning to them. If I'm gonna get more philosophical, there you go. The things are not the problem. It's our attitude towards them. It's my attitude towards the stuff. And so that's what I've been working on. And that's why I've been saving my stuff to go through with y'all, to go through with myself, and then also somebody else out there is struggling, because I know I'm not the only one who's dealing with this. So if this was helpful, if it was interesting, whatever it was, I hope that it did something good for you. Maybe it caused you to think some more about what you're doing and what you're buying. If so, please like, please share, please subscribe. Feel free to share this with anybody that you think could benefit from this kind of thought about what they're doing with their money. And yeah, I am hoping that this is going to help somebody out there, because it has certainly helped me a lot to be more conscious of this. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch this, and I hope you benefited. And if anybody else can benefit, please pass it along. And please join me the next time. Bye.